Lesson 5C, Understanding DeFi, Providing Liquidity. We were just talking about decentralized exchanges and swapping one token for another to make a trade. But in order to make that trade on a decentralized exchange or any exchange, there must be liquidity in the pair that you wish to trade. In this case, liquidity can be defined as tokens that are available to be purchased. So if there is no liquidity in the pair that you want to trade, you can't make that trade because there has to be a token for you to buy if you want to trade one token for another. So when you're swapping Ether for Link, there has to actually be some chain link or link in the pool in order to receive that link. So what decentralized exchanges allow users to do is to provide liquidity. Now, when you become a liquidity provider and you provide liquidity to a pool, you are essentially allowing other users to make trades with the assets that you have loaned to the pool. So just like you need the assets, you need that chain link in the pool in order to swap for link. Well, you can be the one to provide liquidity to the pool so that other users can come along and they can trade their Ether for Link. So when you do this, liquidity providers receive a percentage of each trade executed for that specific pair. Now let's take a look at an example. Let's just say, for example, to make this really easy, let's just say 1 Ether equals 2 Link. So we've got Chainlink or Link, and we've got Ether or Ethereum for long. And you can see here on the left, we've got the Link ETH pool. So if you're a liquidity provider, you are going to provide 2 Link and 1 ETH into the pool because you need to have an even amount to put in the pool so that the price doesn't jump immediately and people don't arbitrage the price action when you only put one asset into the pool. That's going to make the pool uneven. So in order to provide liquidity, you need to provide an equal amount of both assets. So since 1 ETH is 2 Link, you have to put in 2 Link and 1 ETH into the pool to start out and provide liquidity. Suppose your tokens accounted for 5% of the pool's total liquidity. So let's just say out of all the liquidity, those tokens that you put in accounted for 5% of the entire pool. You will receive Link ETH LP tokens based on your percentage of the pool. So what'll happen is you'll put your tokens into the pool, and what you'll receive back in your wallet is going to be these LP tokens. That stands for Liquidity Provider Tokens. Now, on a certain DeFi platform, there are a lot of different DeFi platforms, DEXs that provide different percentage rates for liquidity providers. But on a certain DeFi platform, you might receive a 0.3% liquidity provider fee in proportion to your total percentage of the pool. So that means for every trade, you would receive 5% because you have 5% of the pool times 0.3% on every single trade. So 0.3% of every single trade. And since you have 5% of the entire pool, you would get 5% of all of that. So, as you can see, providing liquidity could be an easy way to make passive income. You put your tokens into the pool, you allow other people to make trades based off of the liquidity that you provided, and you get fees, transaction fees, paid to you based on how many transactions are created within that pool. But no matter what you're doing in generating yield or trying to create passive income, anything like that, you're going to have a certain amount of risk. Now here we're going to lay out the risks of providing liquidity. While providing liquidity to a pool sounds like an easy way to create passive income, there are in fact major risks involved. One of the biggest risks you're going to run into while providing liquidity is a concept called impermanent loss. Now with impermanent loss, that means that at the end of the day, the tokens that you put in may not be valued at the same rate as what you actually take out when you go and redeem those LP tokens that you received. So for impermanent loss, I like to look at 5 scenarios that can happen while providing liquidity. 3 of these scenarios will cause you to lose money, or can cause you to lose money. One of them will retain your token's value, and one will actually cause your token's value to increase. So let's take a look at these 5 examples. So the first example is that one of your coins in your pool, so like we deposited ETH and Link, let's say one of those coins goes up in value and the other one stays the same or drops in value. In that scenario, you would lose money. So what would happen here is that people would come into the pool, and let's say Link increases in value and Ether loses value or stays the same. People would now want to swap their Ether for Link. But when they're swapping their Ether for Link, they are taking more Link out of the pool and putting in more Ether. So now that entire pair of the pool, that entire pool has more Ether in it than it does Link, because people came in and swapped their Ether for Link. So they took Link out of the pool, they took the increasing value asset out, and they put the decreasing value asset in. So now that pool as a whole is decreasing in value, and since you have a percentage of that pool, your percentage is also decreasing in value, because those LP tokens that you're going to get back when you redeem them, it's going to correlate with what the pool actually has at the time that you redeem those LP tokens. So that's why if one coin gains value and one coin either stays the same or loses value, you're probably going to end up losing money, because people are going to start gobbling up that gaining coin and start tossing in that losing coin, and that's when the pool's going to drop in value. So that's an explanation of how you can lose money while providing liquidity, and that's only the first example, but I think we got the explanation and the concept out of the way. So the second example is that one coin loses value and one coin stays the same. So in this scenario, you're going to see that this will have an opposite effect as the scenario above this, and when one coin loses value, people are going to start gobbling up the asset that stayed the same, or the higher asset, and start pushing in that other coin that is now losing value, thus dropping the entire value of the pool, because you're taking out the value of the higher priced asset and then putting in a lot of value from the lower priced asset. But a lot of lower priced asset is still a lower priced asset. So in that case, you would end up losing money from the LP token when you redeem that as well. So let's look at the third scenario. Let's say that both coins lose value. Obviously, you would be losing money because the tokens that you put into the pool are now not worth as much as when you put them in. So even if no trades happen, not only would you not make any transaction fees, but when you took your tokens back out and redeemed them, they would be worth less than when you put them in, and you would then be losing money at that point. Now let's take a look at a way that you can potentially push and even make some money through transaction fees. Both coins stay the same value, and it's basically an even push and pull trade throughout the pair. No coin really gains too high or loses too much. Both of the coins relatively stay the same, and as trades are being transacted, you're actually making money on the transaction fees that are going into that pool. Now, that's a way you can make a little bit of money on the fees, but your tokens will retain value. Last but not least, you can make a lot of money if both the coins in the pool go up, because now the coins that you put in, when you take them out, they're worth substantially more, and you were able to get all the transaction fees that were traded while those tokens were increasing in value. So with providing liquidity, it's a nice way to be able to make some passive income, but there are some risks. And the biggest risk you're going to run into is definitely going to be impermanent loss. I think there are more ways that you can lose money with impermanent loss than you can actually make money. But when you do make money, you could be able to make a substantial amount depending on the volume of the pool, the amount of liquidity you provide, and the amount of value that the tokens you put in actually increase while in the pool. I don't think impermanent loss should be a reason why you stay away from providing liquidity. It's a great way to earn some yield on your tokens. So this shouldn't be the determining factor of I shouldn't provide liquidity. I think it's a great idea. Again, this is not financial advice, but you do have to take a look at the risks of providing liquidity. So you do want to keep in mind of how you can mitigate that risk. And one way of mitigating the risk of impermanent loss is by using a stablecoin pair. Now with stablecoin pairs, you won't generate as much yield from it, but you will greatly mitigate the impermanent loss because stablecoins stay at the same value. They can't increase or decrease. So when you take your tokens out, even if a lot of people dump one of the tokens in there and take the other one out, you're still going to have the same value because you're still going to have that $1 peg of whatever tokens that you put in. The goal here with providing liquidity is to be smart and do your research and understand what are the safe pairs to get into, or provide stablecoin pairs as liquidity, and you can end up making some decent passive income for doing so.